Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Greetings, Algo Artisans. It is Monday, September the 22nd. It is 4:42 p.m. and we're going to do our weekly market forecast. Before we get started, go into the description, get your free algo. Link is in there. Give us a real name, fake name. We don't care, and we will send you that algo immediately, as well as updates to new things that we're doing. We've got some live trading going on for extended periods on Thursdays. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming. Go ahead and do that. Today, we're going to take a look at the usual suspects: NASDAQ, USDJPY, BTCUSD, EURUSD, AUDUSD, GBPJPY, and gold. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at the economic data that's coming out this week. Here on Forex Factory, we'll start with tomorrow. We have the PMIs coming out throughout the European session for the European countries. So German, British, it's all happening as a series after the European Open for those 2 particular countries. And then we have the US manufacturing and services PMI all coming out at 9:45 a.m. EST. And then Fed Chair Powell will speak at 12:35 p.m. So that could move markets. We have the Aussie CPI at 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Not much going on Wednesday. Thursday overnight, we have the Swiss National Bank policy rate. So that's like their FOMC. That's going to happen at 3:30 a.m. EST. That could be a pretty big deal. We've got the USD quarter-over-quarter GDP and unemployment claims at 8:30 a.m. on Thursday. For Friday, we have 8:30 a.m. Canadian GDP month-over-month and USD core PCE. That last bit, the PCE price index, is actually what the Fed prefers to pay attention to as far as what they're going to do with the rate, at least. That's how rumor has it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the charts. So NASDAQ is bullish. I keep saying it every week. The market must go up. That's just how it is. And it's for a lot of different reasons. As it stands right now, everything's bullish. And all I can do is just project more or less trajectories. Now, of course, it could pull back, but even then, I think that might be temporary. But rate cut season seems to be here. A lot of people seem to think we'll see at least 1 rate cut over the next few months per month. So maybe 25 basis points here, 50 there, who knows? But the market is bullish with cheaper money coming in. Decent targets for these trajectories might just be sort of these round numbers, maybe like 25,500. Price might have a hard time going above that, but we're in uncharted waters. These are all-time highs. So all I can say right now is price is probably going to head up with minor pullbacks. Let's take a look at USDJPY. Got a couple of key levels here. I do expect some bearishness in this chart. If price does decide to break bullish for whatever reason, some kind of news, what have you, a hard level to break top side is 148.38. There's a little support at 147.21, but I do think this may break below that to a much stronger support at 146.32 or 33. Let's move on and talk about Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin's got a little bit of bearishness. There was a washout overnight. I did a longer talk earlier about this with Algo Factory. I do think the bull market is still on. I think this is a pullback before we move up, but my main 3 levels for the bull market are 120,000, 145,000, 160,000. Those are the most likely areas to be sort of a low, medium, and high. We've already seen price touch 120. That's already happened all the way back here. In fact, it went up to 125. So the next likely thing to happen, I think, is a bit of a sideways move. September tends to be a little bit bearish, and then October tends to be bullish. We might see new highs maybe in a few weeks, but I do think this is going to have to wash out. And for this week, I think we're going to see price grind down. A good, decent support is 108,000, but right before that, you can see we had a little bit more of a harder support at about 107,200. We'll see what happens with that, but this is more or less what I expect. Hard moves down, quick shoots up, and then back down. We'll see how it goes. Maybe news will change that. Let's look at the euro. Here's EURUSD continues to be bullish. We've talked a lot about the fundamentals behind this. Now we could see the euro not be able to get above 118.81. That's a nice local high. I'm not counting the news spike on the FOMC. I'm just looking at the natural top there. I know a lot of traders would disagree with that. We can even put a mark up there. It's at 119.18. If this gets very bullish very quickly, I think it's going to have a hard time breaking above 118.80. If it does that, then of course we have our 119.17-ish area. Those are the tops I would look at, possibly going short. And I also think that once price gets a rejection of 118.80, it may actually head back down. We'll see what happens with that, though. It's been very bullish over time, and I'm not quite sure the dollar is ready to roll over just yet. Let's take a look at the Aussie dollar. Similar to the euro, not quite as bullish. I expect a slow grind up and to the right. Decent support right here, right at 65.74. This local bottom right here also corresponds with other bottoms back here. But if we do see, for some reason, a move down, decent support level is going to be right about 65 cents. Topside resistances, just like the euro, we're looking at 66.89 and 67 cents. I think this is going to stay calmer than the euro. I think we're just going to see a slow grind up and to the right with a high maybe of 66.60. Let's take a look at the GBPJPY. We've seen a grind up and to the right here. There was this range. The range was between 197.84 and about 200 Japanese yen. However, that range was broken and we keep seeing these higher highs. But what's unique about this is after these higher highs and higher lows that we saw, we ended up seeing a lower low. And that appears to have corresponded with the Monday open. So the mood might have changed where this grind up may not continue. And this is why I do have this dotted line sideways move within that old range. If price can break back above the range, I think it's going to rotate and have a high at 201.25. Let's take a look at gold. Gold is absolutely bullish. Again, I'm looking more at trajectories, but I do have some targets. Gold has a bit cleaner price action than the indices. I see an absolute high this week, and I don't think it'll get anywhere near this, of 38.90. That would be a very ambitious target. I do have a Fibonacci target sitting at 37.71, but in reality, it's just broken out. It broke above 3,700, and it looks like it wants to continue. Now, when these breakouts do happen, you tend to see a pullback or two before it continues up. So again, this is why I have more trajectories with possible pullbacks on the way up. But if we did see a pullback, I think a good level for a pullback would be 3,700, and perhaps we see a nice place to pick up some gold, depending on what the algos say. And that's what we do at Algo Factory. We predict the future of price. We predict where price is going to be and in which direction it's going to go. And when you know those things, when you can predict them to a statistical degree of certainty, you're able to extract money from the market. So we teach people how to do that. We teach people how to use very basic data science and use the data that you see on the bottom of the screen here or other data much like it to be able to predict where price may go, when it's going to go there, and to extract money on a regular basis from the market. Some people do it while they have a full-time job. Other people have all kinds of free time and they do it more frequently. Either way, it is so worth your time to learn how to do this. Go to the description, get your free algo. Link is in the description. It shows you how I build a basic algo. A very savvy trader could take that and actually make it profitable. That's possible. It's more educational for you to just have something you can see how it's done. If you really dig into it, perhaps you can make it profitable. Either way, we really hope to see you tomorrow morning bright and early. That's Tuesday, the 23rd of September. That's going to be 8:30 a.m. EST. And we're going to do this live. If something changes in the charts, I reassess my targets and my ideas, and we go from there. Thank you all for watching AlgoFactory.tech. Come on in, learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro, and we'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early. Cheers.